himself. Like, what do you think about his
So
presence?
I am no expert, but I think it's interesting that an overt narcissist, a grandiose narcissist, is likened to a quote unquote subtype of psychopathy, where someone with vulnerable narcissism like me or covert narcissism, I'm more of a traditional type, right? And so he really believes his confabulations. He really thinks he's smarter than everybody else. He is a manifestation of unbelievable overconfidence. That's different. That's really a psychopathy, right? More than this insecure narcissism. So as we've come to know it, so I think he's batshit crazy. Like, because I think most of us would be embarrassed to be president of the United States and not know some of the things he knows. Like, it would be just the incongruity would be so strong. Like, I would be too embarrassed to stand up, and he absolutely doesn't care. Like, he's made a mockery of many things, and he doesn't see it that way.
Well, don't you think it's technically like our Pope in a way, and then we have all these other popes out there like Obama, Bush, Clinton. So there's like this mind trust between the presidents in a way, and they may not get along, but they can still be in communication. Mate.
Well, I mean, hasn't he challenged that construct and that model? Like, if he was smart, well, he separated himself from the, the old guard so much, like, they don't even want to be in the picture with it. I mean, it's really weird. Like, you would think that if you're president, you want to be part of this camaraderie that's like he's dispelled the notion of being among leaders because he's so different. Like, it's weird. Like, if all the other presidents if I knew that everybody else who was in a leadership position similar to me thought so little of me, I couldn't live with that. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy that he thinks that that's what I'm saying. He's willing to separate himself from the crowd to his own benefit or detriment because his ego is so confusing to us.
I know, but don't you view him as not being part of the same chain? I mean, they tried to blow his fucking head off. They cheated him with Joe. The second time he wins by a miracle. I mean, but I'm saying, is it all just like theater? Is it just theater? Because that's what I really think that it is.
Wow, John, you're not tired from the 2020 election stolen? You're still rocking that. God bless.
Well, I mean, I will say that, based on my own little statistics and my experience voting, like, I didn't see anybody there in 2020, just like a couple little Democrats, but it could have been the polling place I went to. But, anyways, I'm just saying that, you know, Trump is independent. Like, if there is some type of conspiracy going from JFK to 9/11 to COVID-19, um, Trump is like, I don't know. It's so hard to know connections.
Okay, so what's fascinating to me is if you look at this nepotistic trajectory, if you will, Bush, the second Bush, whatever the hell his name is, it was harder for him to step out of the shadow of his father, who was a president preceding it, right? But what's crazy to me is that Trump really it comes from as nepotistic a family as the Bushes, and yet, I got to give Trump credit as much as he's the product of nepotism. He has distinguished himself as the most crazy, batshit, nut job leader of a democracy that we have seen in recent time, and he doesn't, he won't. It doesn't even give him pause. It's kind of confusing to me. It's a conundrum because I'd like to think that he's a product of good fortune and the forces, of family, regarding his family, but he's differentiated himself from just about anything we've ever known, and you got to give him some credit for that. He's an animal. I don't know what I just said,
He's
but
not
I know
the
what I meant.
he's not the anti-hero though, right? Like I think he's more of a hero than an anti-hero, but I do know that, everyone has a Yetzer Hara and a Yetzer Tov, and the greater the Hara, the greater the Tov. So I mean, I'm just like, I still can't, it's hard. It's so easy to forget how happy it makes me that he's the president because I just don't see like his presence in my life here in Chicago. I mean, I would prefer that he actually deploys, the Illinois National Guard and takes over the city. I think there's a lot of domestic interventionist things that he could do that, you know, test the waters of the Constitution, find a new balance, because if you're going to lose, the cities in your
Well,
kingdom.
okay, well, let me ask you this. I think most people in his position, you would think they'd be looking out for their quote unquote progeny. They would want to see an Ivanka Trump pick up a Senate seat. TJT Jr. Take the Trump organization to greater heights. I don't think he sees that at all. Could you imagine? Like I have resentment toward them, but I also feel terribly sorry for them. What could you do if you can't speak out against that guy if he's your father? You can't, like, you're in such a cage. The caged offspring of Donald Trump mystify me.
But what if they really love their dad and they say he's just our dad? I love my dad. He's the greatest. Because if you love your dad, I mean, there's nothing really bad to say about a guy who has always given you, love, respect, compassion, kindness, gifts. A good parent. For many people,
But I don't think he's given them anything but gifts, right? And I don't think that, like, I think it's like they know that if they don't join them, they're screwed. And so they're in a really precarious situation. Sorry, I'm speaking too loud.
It's much like, very much like AJ and Meadow, Soprano, going against Tony, their dad, the patriarch. You don't do it.
Well, but hold on. If you watch that show carefully, they actually did do it. In fact, AJ was testing, like most kids do, how far he can go with pushing back against his dad. Now he found the limits of that. There's definitely a limit to it.
But he did indeed, yeah.
But he was testing him. And there were episodes where I would watch and be like, man, I wouldn't have done that. But AJ's just being a kid. I thought AJ's, even though as an actor he's terrible, I think the character was very well written for people to just say, if you were the kid of this mobster who, and there's these contradictions where he does love his family, but he's got this business and he's got this oath that he puts above everything. Being that kid would be a tough assignment. And
sure.
But as any kid, he does rebel, and he rebels in some pretty dramatic ways.
It does, and even further, AJ was a total dipshit. In fact, I think he's one of the few actors on that show that never really went on to continued acting. I guess we're grateful for that. Meadow, on the other hand, it's like, was Carmelo having an affair with the milkman? Because AJ and Meadow couldn't be any different apart. Like, Meadow was driven, he's intelligent, and outspoken. Like, he's trying to be a lawyer, but specifically for like civil rights people or like social work. AJ's just like,
do you guys watch the podcast with the two of them?
I haven't, no, I haven't. But I was going to say that
You should check it out.
Yeah, Meadow also pushed the boundaries, especially when, Tony interfered when she tried to date a black guy. It's one of the best episodes talking about coming of age. I just rewatched it, so it's a little fresh in mind.
So let me ask this.
Let's get a better service real quick. Sorry. Yeah, thank you. One of the best episodes, and I can relate because one of the kids in my high school in Jersey, shocking, their dad was, they're like big mob, like Googleable. And so I can only imagine when my classmate Sue realized as she was getting older what daddy really does. And there's a great episode, they from like on AOL, like, the limited computers they had, internet access they had back then. And they're reading articles about their dad, and Meadows like, don't you know what dad does? But at the end, though, it was interesting art to see, though, that at the end of the day, though, like there's a really powerful scene where Tony is like, to Meadow, he's like, you got something to say to me? And she just breaks down or whatever. But at the end of the day, she does end up remaining loyal to the patriarch. Thank you, Doctor. Or the driver, Jay. Sorry.
So I was just going to say, okay, imagine Ivanka Trump is sitting there talking to her therapist, and she says, my dad is an asshole, and he may be a pedophile. And her therapist turns to her and said, yes, Ivanka, this is true. How does this make you feel? And she says, I really want to speak out, but I can't because he may disown me. Now, he may not be able to take my money, but he may ostracize me. He may make Don Jr. the golden child. I envision that. I think that this is what goes on. Imagine she's in a position, she knows some of his deepest secrets. We're not. And yet she's in no position to challenge him because he would ostracize her, is my guess. Or he would, make, put pressure on media sources or something. I think this is what she faces. I almost have empathy for her.
See, people would listen. See, I think you don't understand how people will judge you when they hear you speculating about this topic, even. So, as some advice about, being a publicist.
Judge away, John. Judge the hell out of me.
I'm just saying what you are suggesting, Dr. Jordan, is so disgusting and so revolting. If you're wrong, I'm just saying that what you're putting out there into the ether, it's vulgarity.
Wait, what I'm saying? I'm just saying what's the likely scenario. Why is that vulgar? It's just possibly... I don't know that he's a pedophile, but let's just say, do you think that that's an unlikely scenario for her to sit in front of her therapist and talk like that?
Yeah, I think so, 100%. See, the thing is, I could easily bounce that back and say you're actually describing the Joe Biden administration and what he did to his daughter in the shower and from the diary. So it's but I've also seen the video. The thing is, I don't know, I don't have children, and I'm just saying, to me, this is all vulgarity. I like the gossip show, but I also, don't like this type of Lashon Hara against the sitting president of the United States of America. To me, it's just kind of low class.
Do you think too much of your happiness, because you did say earlier that, you're suffering in Illinois with your retarded Democratic governor, but do you think you may be putting too many eggs of happiness in the Trump basket? What are you going to do when he finishes his 5th or 6th term? How are you going to carry on when he God forbid, and I hope you're sitting down and maybe have a strong drink next to you when I say these really, terrifying words. What will you do when he actually dies?
Moose, it's not just Trump. It's Tom Holman on Fox News saying, being very happy and having a big smile. Seeing the head of, our mass deportation effort happy on Fox News saying, if these Democrats obstruct us, we will arrest them, or we need more action. I'm just saying, in comparison to Kamala and Waltz, I am.
My point is that I think there's a little too much identity worship with MAGAs and Trump versus the Dems and Biden and Clinton.
You gotta understand, it is not identity worship. It is me being a Taoist or believing in the opposite, which was Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. When I know that Trump and J.D. Vance are the leaders of this country versus what could have been, that's what truly gives me the happiness. It takes Kamala Harris and Tim Walz to make me happy. I hope you understand that, Moose.
So it's less what Trump's about and more what the alternative was.
Exactly. And I ask Grok that all the time. Please give me the contrarian position to my question. And then it corrects itself and gives me the information I'm actually looking for.
Can I just point out that we do not have enough votes here for the poll? The poll is asking, do you regret your vote, your 2024 vote? And so, for those of you that have not yet voted in the poll is posted above. Please take a look at it. And if you don't have an option, that's fine. That would be a perfectly viable reason to not vote. But because I don't want to skew the results just because you want to peek at the results. But absolutely. Go ahead.
You know, Jarl said "fuck George Washington" in the chat. You know, Jarl, one day maybe you'll be able to come to America. I don't know where you live, but you will experience the incredible, glory and beauty of this country. It goes on and on and on. Have you ever driven through Texas? It just goes on and on and on and on.
Do you think Washington never lied?
You know, I haven't read the letters of George Washington. There's a lot of things, we need to do in terms of education. But of course, I'm sure he maybe told a lie and, asked for forgiveness and made atonement.
But I think the more important piece of this is that we once had this belief that we wanted to prop up our founders and we wanted to make heroes out of them. And then we put them through a critical lens and we said, okay, maybe they were, flawed humans like every human. But now we've gotten to a point where we don't want heroes at all. We as soon as somebody does something that you argue is heroic, we can want to search for the things that would make them flawed. And I don't think that that's a good idea moving forward. We should have heroes. We should have people that we can point to say, hey, look, what that guy did in his day was pretty fucking incredible. And then, you can go ahead and say that those times had policies and social norms that you would oppose today. But if you isolate for, in that time, was this person doing something exceptional? I would say anybody that that was willing to throw the tyranny of Britain off of us, I think they deserve our respect.
Tina Turner would disagree.
The Prophet Muhammad? Well, listen, if you can point out the good things that he's done, that's cool. All I can say is that in the Hadith that Aisha wrote, she acknowledged the fact that she married him when she was 6 and they consummated when she was 9. So all I have right now is that he's a pedophile and that the members of this pedophile death cult are very forgiving of that fact. Now, give me the heroic things that he's done, please.
I mean, Keeman, you knew that was coming, right?
I did not. I just wanted to bring a point right back to clearly that said, clearly Muhammad, a lot of people don't think clearly.
Name one. Name one.
He created one of the biggest legends on the fashion things.
Yeah, listen, Christianity and Islam are both Torah fan fiction. Nothing more, nothing less.
See, there's different types of Torah fan fiction. Not many people have read Zohar or Tanya. See, the Jewish book club or the Jewish publishing industry is vast. Jews love books, and I have many, many Jewish education books. And
that's racist.
So basically, what I'm saying is, if you read Zohar, it's like, or this other book called the Sefer HaAgadah, the Book of Legends. It's more stories about the stories. So it'll take Moses sitting in the mountains talking to his generals, and they'll be talking about war strategy. It's like, that's why I say it's kind of like the Torah comic book club or fan fiction, So I'm just saying there's no limits to creating news stories about the stories. I mean, because people in the future, hopefully they'll pick up that media and, recreate it. And I love reading books onto YouTube because a lot of the stuff from the 60s and 70s, which was very profound, it's not necessarily digitized now. Like, you could go to their foundations and maybe find some of the materials, but there's a lot of mind-blowing, profound books, just like Zohar, that if you can reproduce it into YouTube and get people to experience this divine, mystic, experience, it's really profound psychology, but it is in a way like fiction hypnosis, but it rings true. So it's just alternative media.
Yeah, I just want to say real quick, both of you guys are going to hell. You didn't know that
Wait, why do you think we're going to hell?
because of the way that you speak about the Bible.
Oh, really? What did I say about the Bible that would cast me into hell?
You know what you said.
Well, I
This
think
man said that the Bible was Torah fan fiction, and then you went on with it like it was nothing. You didn't stop his demonic energy, so you're going to hell with him.
well, is it projection? I'm just asking you. Are you projecting your own hell onto us right now?
Mother, can I offer a challenge here? I will bet that I know scripture in this Torah fan fiction that you call the Holy Bible better than you do. Do you accept my challenge?
I spent 10 years going to church every weekend, and I'm going to church right now every weekend. So I mean, it would be competitive. I don't know how religious you are, but I do go to church twice a week.
I'm not religious, but I am a man of letters. So let's.
What does that mean?
Well, I read.
Are you saying the only legit religion is Judaism?
Well, of that school of book, it's kind of like this is how I feel about it, right? The original trilogy in Star Wars, to me, that's the source material, right? And that was the creation of George Lucas. And then and all of those things that you have, like the prequels and the sequels and all the spin-offs, that would be Star Wars fan fiction. The same way with the Holy Bible and the same way with the Quran.
This is
That was a long-winded yes to my question. Got it. Thank you. Carry on.
Okay, back to Mother. Mother, can you give me your interpretation of 2 Kings chapter 2?
I don't have that memorized. I don't know what that is.
This is when the prophet Elisha was being teased by kids and prayed for the Lord's help. And then out of the forest came 2 bears that mauled 47 children. Can you explain to me what that means to you?
So I'm going to finish taking this shit. I'm going to go open the Bible that I have in my living room, and I'm going to read the passage and then analyze it and then respond. I don't, this gotcha that we're doing right here is, I find to be odd. But
Not a gotcha at all. Not a gotcha at all.
You felt compelled to tell the whole room you're taking a shit. Very odd.
I mean,
Mother, I'm trying, despite the fact that I know you're taking a shit, I'm going to say these words.
Mojo.
I want to meet you where you are.
Mojo, let me ask you, what do you think that means?
I think that it means that if you disrespect a prophet of the Lord, that the Lord will resort to violence to get revenge, which I think is an interesting concept. And it makes me wonder, when we see children bullying another child, would it be more godly if, let's say we're not Dr. Doolittle, we can't summons the bears, should we go and smack the shit out of kids that are bullying other kids? Because it sounds like that's the instruction, but maybe God wants to keep it in his hands and utilize bears to do his bidding.
Well, I mean, I always like to think about the micro and the macro, but that story to me sounds like thoughts, meaning that chaos and all these children being mauled by a bear. It's kind of like that book, Lord of the Flies. It's like, who is the Lord of the Flies? Is it Beelzebub? Is it God? I mean, how do you respond to flies? A lot of people get freaked out when they see bugs.
Two others know it. Apparently, Polish shit is the flies god because they clearly flies worth of shit.
Well, listen, if this room were Lord of the Flies, I think Hakima is definitely Piggy.
Oh man,
Now I gotta go watch it.
it's a wild book actually.
The book is 100 times better.
The Balthazar Getty film was okay, but that was an example of where the book is better than the film. Traditionally, people say that all the time. I'm in the camp that usually the movie is better than the book, and I've got countless examples of that if you'd like to talk about them.
Like we could rattle off a few ones on the Google's list. Jaws, it was still good, but Jaws, yeah, you're immediately terrified.
Wise Guy versus Goodfellas.
Was Wicked a book? I don't know. That movie was wonderful. I saw it last weekend.
So did anybody see the moon last night?
Sure did. That was something.
So what is the men? I haven't put this to Groggard on the Google search yet, but are women's menstrual cycles actually tied to the moon?
Mother, what say you?
Yeah. I mean, men also have a menstrual cycle, right? I mean, it's not as profound, but there are times of the month when men have higher levels of testosterone than other parts of the month. That is a thing. Men do have kind of like lower tier.
So I heard this speaker the other day say that women have this Shakti power. It's a two-part system. They are nesters and they are also transcendent. What does anybody like? Anybody agree with that sentiment that women technically have these two different aspects that a man does not have? The man should be out of the nest, gathering energy, harvesting resources, but the nester and so men have a different task, women have a different task, or a different set of a basic game rule or their position, who they are. Is that why Kamala lost? Because the roles,
Dr. Catherine, hi.
the roles
How are
were
you?
inverted.
Wait, you on mute, John? I got to say hi to Dr. Catherine. Where have you been?
Hello. You know what? I've been hanging out over there in Chatter, and I have to tell you a story about that. Jonathan Bing went off on me and lost his shit, and I decided, who are these people? Right? We're not real people. And it's you people. So I'm coming back to the clubhouse.
Can you agree
Dr.
with me?
Catherine.
Hold on a second. 1 second. Can you guys agree that Jonathan Bing is the worst thing that's ever happened to Chatter?
I don't
Oh,
know
I like
if
Jonathan Bing.
that. I do like him. I'm friends with him, but I can play you this clip. I can't even listen to it, but he just.
Please play the clip.
Oh boy. Okay. I can do that.
Spill the tea, Dr. Catherine. Spill the tea.
Yeah, you know I got tea. I got the tea. So this is what happened. He was going off. I don't know if he did any kind of date, but maybe we don't really know what they're doing. But he's the black guy. She's the blonde, beautiful one, and I think they have a romance. But again, I've never met these people IRL, right? So I can't say what they have.
They are very flirty together.
They're super flirty. Yeah, and sometimes he talks to her in a way that I think is very controlling. And so I was in the chat, like, I'm a chat warrior most of the time. And in the chat, I was like, Ben is controlling. And he lost it. Okay, now since I can tell you, here it goes. Let me see if I can turn it up. Sorry, guys. Here it goes.
That would be a great chat if you don't mind.
Because the unsung hero is the person that make that speak to this. Open.
Shut your fucking mouth, alright? How much I want to control? Alright? You dumb fucking ass, alright? Don't you ever come in here with some bullshit and put some out with someone trying to handle the situation diplomatically as possible. I am tired of your fucking entitled ass with your fucking snarky ass fucking entitled fucking remarks. Get your fucking ass out of here, Dr. Catherine. I'm fucking need you here if that's how you fucking feel.
Damn, that was the worst that I was expecting.
Fucking goodness, bitch. Fuck out of here. I'm tired of the bullshit.
He's not done. Okay. Thank God.
Fuck that. I don't want to hear no okay. Get the fuck out of here. Like, what's the fuck going on? Because I've learned to diplomatic. Okay? And I wasn't pushing because I'm tired of your bullshit.
I accept your experience of what happened.
Whatever. It's not my fucking experience. I'm tired of bullshit. I'm tired of the bullshit. Trying to fucking resolve something. And you're like, oh, fuck out of here, Dr. Catherine. Shit, like you need fucking
was so funny. I am sorry I didn't laugh, but I could not hold back. When you said
was that on the chatter? I've never been on chatter. Was that chatter or Clubhouse?
That was the classy response. I accept your experience. I'm gonna take notes and save that for them. I'm gonna use that at work.
Yeah, Catherine, it sounds like Dr. Catherine, it sounds like you meditate. You handled that very well.
Well, I got that from raising teenagers and going to family therapy, and the therapist was like, you have to mirror and affirm and validate their experience of harm, even though you don't understand it or agree with it. Because you know how teenagers say crazy shit, and you're like, that's actually not happening. That's not how this went, right? But it is their experience that I want to validate because I care about the fact they're hurting. And when you try to refute it and tell them they're not experiencing something that they feel is very difficult for them, and they feel gaslit. Okay, so the example would be our kids complaining because they think their life is so hard and we're mean to them. And if we say, well, our parents used to beat us and we had to walk to school like 2 miles in the cold, that's not how you're supposed to parent. You're supposed to validate their experience of harm, and then they feel heard. And just accept it as their experience. Don't try to refute it. It works beautifully.
You would thrive in corporate America, Catherine, because this is the type of like language that I have to use at the office. Like, but never be overly direct. Always, tiptoe around what you're actually trying to say, but get your message.
But don't you believe
They
in?
do get angrier. They get angrier. Yeah, because they want you to name back. He loved the bank. Like he wanted to create something out of that and make it go viral and stuff. And I'm not gonna. And when I say you're controlling and that you come off like that, you're basically just making your own case or making my case, right?
Yeah, you kind of.
Catherine, can you please submit a vote in the poll here? Do you regret your 2024 vote?
Oh, that's what we're talking about in the room. Okay, so I voted. Can I say what I voted already, Mojo? Or are we waiting?
We can see.
Something first. I want to just say that I'm jealous of Dr. Catherine because she's such a sponge. She takes. If I took 1,000th of that amount of information away from all the therapy I had, I feel like I've done nothing with all the therapy I've had. I'm just devastated.
Oh, maybe you did go to too much therapy. There's a sweet spot for therapy, and we'll talk about that in another room. I voted for Bernie, so I don't regret that at all.
I voted for Ron DeSantis in the primary, and then when Trump got the nomination, I voted for Kamala, and I'm very happy with both of those votes. And I would never vote for Donald Trump ever in the history of my life. And my whole reason for not voting for him has been proven to be correct. I don't like his leadership style, and I think his economic policies are not going to move the country further ahead, which they aren't. And I don't think that he's good for America on an international level. Every reason that I had for voting for Kamala has come to fruition.
Sorry, Mother, can you tell me what was Kamala Harris's plan to reduce the borrowing and spending that we have in this country?
Doesn't matter. That's not the reasons why I didn't vote for her. I didn't vote for Trump because I didn't like the way he ran the country. And I'm 100% correct in my current opinion of he's doing exactly what I would expect: chaos and confusion.
It was a good attempt on I got you moment to corner him. Harris was doomed. 137-year-old Biden never should have ran. I don't think he would have if it wasn't Trump. Chip on the shoulder. You did 50 years of service. Remarkable. Like, have a seat. Like, you were already President War. Like that. You can't top that resume. So he hands the baton over in the 11th hour to Harris. She didn't have a prayer.
Reluctantly, they actually took the baton and they forced it on her.
Yeah, pretty much. Exactly. He was stuck in his diaper.
Yeah, if it was up to him, he would have continued to run. But the problem was, I don't think he could have even submitted the paperwork. He was too far gone. In fact, it was ruled that he was legally incompetent, couldn't even stand trial, but yet he was our president.
Talk about narcissistic, Dr. Jordan?
Sorry, I missed that. I'm driving. What did you say?
Well, Trump's narcissism. Stevie Wonder can see that, but with Biden, we can't overlook the narcissism that essentially what we just described, that he's setting up Harris for failure instead of stepping down. And to Mojo's point, he did that creepy interview when he's whispering. He's like, guess what? Something's gonna happen. Like he was Clint Eastwood. It was bizarre. He never should have done it. His ego and narcissism kept him in it.
But there's an element of narcissism that's highly productive, and when you're, all presidents are going to have that to some degree. Some are going to be more pathological, but you can't help his survival instinct, right? I mean, what person who's president of the United States is willing to relinquish that position for any reason? I find that hard to believe. So I don't.
But we were just talking about heroes earlier, though, right? Like we're just talking about heroes. If you ask me, that is what a hero does. You step down. You literally take a knee for the greater good of the country. If you truly took that office to make a difference and be Mr. Jimmy Stewart goes to Washington. I mean, I hear you. Like I hear the megalomaniac and the attention and power. Your point is absolutely valid. It's not lost on me. But a true hero, I think, didn't have to be coaxed off the election, edge like he was.
Yeah, remember Biden and Trump both were. They're all insulated by a circle of people. Sorry, I have food in my mouth. Obviously, they're all listening. Their ears are bent towards certain people, and so we don't know that Biden's family didn't have a huge influence on him.
You have a hot mic, Akima.
Hey, Moose, do you think that Nixon did the right thing by stepping down?
He wouldn't have had to if he had the Supreme Court that Trump has today. But yes, I do. And I don't think he did it for the good of Watergate, Woodward, Bernstein. Yeah, it was a different time. But I think if the Supreme Court was stacked as it is, and whatever president does in the act of being presidency cannot be prosecuted, would have been different.
I don't know. I still think that Nixon, to your point, I think he did the right thing. You just man up, say I fucked up, and I'm resigning.
I think the pushback against that is that he inevitably would have been impeached, actually removed from office, not like Clinton.
Yeah. Yeah, I think. But to your point, times are way different then. I mean, he's still going to go down as one of our top 4 worst presidents, but still.
The war on crime, Tricky Dicky. I am not a criminal. He's a living Saturday Night Live skit. His entire presidency is a Saturday Night Live skit.
Did you ever see the movie about him? It's pretty good.
All the presidents then?
Yeah, something like that. There was like a couple, but I saw one like.
Very good. Yeah, Robert Redford researched that for several years. He directed it. Solid. Dustin Hoffman and Robert Redford. Yeah.
I liked the JFK one too by God, I'm trying to think of his name. The director.
Oliver Stone.
I just can't remember. Yes, very good movie. But yeah, I mean Nixon just was like, okay, yeah, I'm not a crook, but was he really a crook? I don't know. That's subjective.
What about Nixon's support of the first of all the creation of the war on drugs and his support for wage and price controls? I mean, I think Nixon's a smart guy, but his policies were dog shit. But again, there's some conditioning and programming. I mean, how is it that you go from having everyone kiss your ass and calling you Mr. President for however long someone has lasted for the duration of a term, and then suddenly have people, questioning you, that hate you, then comes, congressional hearings and potential litigation. I mean, you go from being on the top of the world and everyone literally kissing your ass even if they don't like you to suddenly accepting that you're mediocre or criminal. I mean, I think that's really hard for the human for a human to contend with. And that goes for Nixon, Trump, Bush, Clinton, all of them.
But wasn't Nixon? Didn't he have like one of the highest IQs for a president?
Highly likely. Yeah.
And he got more votes than any president in history.
Really?
Yep.
But hey,
I learned that on MSNBC 2 nights ago.
But, Doctor, wasn't it? Or I'm sorry, the driver. Wasn't it Reagan that won by the largest margin ever?
No.
I understood it was
his re-election, he won 49 out of the 50 states. The only holdout was Minnesota, and that was because that's where Mondale was from.
Oh, wow. So it wasn't, Mojo, it wasn't the first election, it was the second one when Reagan ran in, what, 84?
Correct.
Pretty incredible he survived that assassination attempt. Surgeon said it was like less than a half inch away from his heart.
That's crazy. It's even more crazy, Moose, that Trump survived that, because he got very close.
Do you guys remember the Saturday Night Live skit after Reagan got shot where Eddie Murphy did Buckwheat's Been Shot as a parody?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go YouTube that, Mojo.
Well, I think you should ask Dr. Catherine what a near miss that was, because she more than anyone would know with regard to Trump's injury, at least the optics of it.
Of him coming up and with his fist in the air, like he just, like Rocky did in Rocky 2, when he involved, like that, those kind of theatrics.
Yeah, that was mad respect. I mean, I've seen quite a few lucky people who just missed a major injury by just a few millimeters like that, and you just think to yourself, wow, God has a plan for you. And we're all part of Trump's manifesto now, but that was wild. That was a real...
Y'all some real political people. I'm not really a super political dude, but do you think that Trump thing was real, or do you think that was like something to make him like seem better than he is? Like, do y'all think that was real for real?
Wait, hold on. So, what if you think that it was somehow theater? Can you explain to me the person who got their head turned inside out?
To me, me personally, I think there's no way that could be theater. I think that was a real thing that happened. A lot of people think it's theater, though. I don't think you can make that up. He's technically supposed to be dead right now. They just missed him by a little bit.
I thought he was
I can understand how somebody would think it's theater. My bad. Go ahead.
No, I actually thought he was going to die when he got COVID. You know, if it wasn't for Regeneron and having like all those doctors swarming around him, I really thought that was going to take him out. So, you know, it always takes three things. So the next thing coming for him is going to be the one that takes him out.
In the form of a Big Mac.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think the intelligence agencies tried to actually kill Trump. That's why I think that's the real conspiracy. Now that was fake. I mean, like, there's so many. It's either this. There's only really two real good explanations to me. It's mass incompetence on the Secret Service's part to allow two close assassination attempts very close together, and also one that was right before the RNC convention, basically when they're doing the Republican nominee. Okay. Or it was intentional. It was intentional competence where they allowed these third-party actors to get in so they can actually ruin the election for the Republicans.
That's a good point right there. Intentional incompetence. Okay, I never thought of that angle. That's a good angle. Intentional incompetence.
Because it's hard to explain or comprehend how the Secret Service thought that the local, at least that's one story I heard, is that the Secret Service thought that the local law enforcement would actually take care of like the rooftop areas, so they're just going to go ahead and leave the only like available.
Why do you want to go a whole sniper rifle on the roof? You know how long it takes to assemble that jump? I'm in the military. For 16 years. I know how long it takes to assemble a sniper rifle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like a major, bizarre oversight by Secret Service.
But Moose, like, I remember when I'm here in Michigan, I remember like George Bush was coming to like one of the community colleges or something to do a speech. Every road was blocked off. I mean, I've never seen so much security. This is back in like 2004. I've never seen. Go ahead.
I think you just had a hot mic. Yeah, go ahead, Nick.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying, like, I've never seen that much security. But to your point, Moose, it was just very bizarre that I would think they would have all the rooftops covered, but I don't know. That was some major oversight miss. But didn't that person, like Moose, who's like head of Secret Service, resign like right after that?
I don't think they were given a choice.
Yeah, I think they basically said, you resign, we'll give you 6 months severance, fly off into the wind.
Do you remember the woman that couldn't holster her weapon?
Yes.
DEI.
Yeah, it's a tough job, though. You know, not too many jobs where you're literally signing up to stand in front of someone else to take a bullet. But, ooh, that's a big oversight.
You know, I didn't even think Trump was going to make it to election day after 2 assassination attempts. I was like, someone's going to like assassinate him before. And shockingly, he made it.
Do you guys remember how nasty the clubhouse Democrats were when they were saying, "Oh, we almost got him"? Do you remember those conversations?
For the record, I was never, believe it or not, I was never one of them.
I never said that either.
You imagine if there's an assassination attempt on Harris, what the reaction would have been?
Has there ever been an assassination attempt on a Democrat? Well,
Yeah,
RFK
Kennedy.
Yeah,
Attempt and success.
True. And then Bobby Kennedy, too.
Yep, the two big ones.
Yeah, they were cleaning house in the 60s.
Yeah, they were. But that Kennedy family's been so unlucky.
Yeah, I was going to say, bad time to be a Kennedy.
But Moose, there was another one, too. Like, I think one of them else got like cancer and died at a really young age, too. Wasn't it Jackie, his wife?
Yeah, the Kennedys are like the Von Erichs of politics.
Statistically, I don't think, maybe Dr. Catherine can back this up, but statistically, I don't think that they actually have had more high profile deaths, quite frankly, than any other family. It's just that it's the media. There's a media bias. Let me look this up to be sure.
You got a new poll up there, Mojo.
We have a new poll?
Oh, wait, sorry. I was looking at the room title. See, at a glance, it is confusing. I'm like, wait, how come the room title doesn't match the poll? But, right, two separate things.
Oh my god. Did I miss a question about narcissistic personality disorder? Sorry, what was the question?
Oh no! Anytime Dr. J is here, we're always we're in the presence of an expert on narcissistic personality disorder.
Oh, he's the Dr. J. Okay.
Yes, yes, the one and only.
No, what I was saying was that the Kennedy family, statistically speaking, there is no difference. There's no significant difference in the number of deaths that the Kennedy family has endured than any other family. They're a big family, and they've just obviously we know more about them through that loss of life through media bias.
Wow, I don't know. They've had like. So you think it's based on if you were to run any big family that you'd have that many assassinations, the people who have died in planes, I don't know, a lot, especially being killed. Unless you're
a lot of musicians dying in planes, Dr. Catherine knew.
But all in one family?
Yeah, Dr. Catherine, I was just going to say, like, I just think that Kennedy family's been very unlucky. Have you ever read the book Killing Kennedy by Bill O'Reilly? Although I'm not Bill O'Reilly's biggest fan, he did write a damn good book.
You know, it's in my Audible books. I don't remember if I did read it, what impression it had on me.
There was another one too, like Killing Lincoln. That was a very interesting one because, I don't know if you know this, Lincoln's head of security or top security guard, he was supposed to be watching over and, watching him, but instead he went across the street to the speakeasy and got drunk and didn't do his duty. But no, everyone overlooked that.
Oh, I heard that actually. Oh, that makes sense. I guess that explains why the security guard who walked away from Epstein is related to the security guard you just described. Huh. Apple in the tree.
Well, Moose, another thing too, like with the Lincoln assassination, when John Wilkes Booth did it, he jumped down from like the wherever he was at that theater, and everyone thought it was part of the play, and they didn't understand like the president had just been killed, but they thought it was part of the act. But yeah, it's a good book. Check it out.
So are you guys paying extra for this Chatter app? What do you get for that? What's the update on that?
No, Catherine, there was investor payout day today.
In Chatter? You guys are getting paid for your rooms?
No, because like I guess all the original investors or investors of development, I got some email saying they were paid. Like they were getting some sort of dividend, or I don't know if they're getting their money back, but I think it was some sort of dividend.
Oh, I wonder what the return was on their investment, or if that's just like their settlement. Interesting.
Yeah, after the class action lawsuit. I think honestly, you're better off taking your money and flushing it down the toilet before you are investing in that app.
Oh, on the Chatter app, or this app, or any of the apps?
The Chatter app.
Oh yeah, no, I wouldn't have invested in.
No.
I think it has potential. There aren't enough intelligent conversations happening, and they're
right. John, can you do your Jonathan Bing impression? he's not there.
Well, Jackie Kennedy is the best dead Kennedy of them all. She was pretty incredible.
What do you like about her, except for her sense of style?
She's actually really smart. She had a lot of art appreciation. I think just the trauma, of seeing her husband shot. Like, she had parts of his brain on him. I mean, she's a very strong woman, I think. And I think a lot more than just style. But she was an editor of a publishing house, so she was a great writer herself, and she was meticulous, I think, with her correspondence, her relationships, and she suffered so much trauma. I think just how you look at PTSD, and she probably drank too much, smoked too much. She died of cancer too young, and I think
Did you ever see her Playboy spread?
What? You thinking of Marilyn? Jackie Kennedy? Really? Oh my goodness.
Let me see if I can find a good photo on PTR.
But one of my favorite, I think, historical, triangle love stories is the Jacqueline Kennedy, Maria Callas, and Aristotle Onassis. I think that was a pretty amazing situation there, because Aristotle really loved Maria Callas, but he also loved, women who had so much, who were popular, and he just loved women, and he left Maria to marry Jackie, and man, just really broke her heart, and it really broke his heart too. But Jackie, she got to live on a Greek island and have free security, and her kids were relatively protected, which I think she needed to do that. Okay, so nobody's paying for an upgraded version of Clubhouse. That's what I've heard. Is that right?
There is at least 2 people on the stage that are paying. You can see by the plus sign next to their name.
Okay, so those of you with the plus sign, what are you getting?
They have an anonymous feature that allows them to enter rooms without being spotted.
And supposedly
like
you can.
So you don't need a burner.
Right, and supposedly you can see who views your profile, but that's not really accurate. Because every time you go into a room, like if they invite you on stage, it's not really telling you anything.
Yeah, LinkedIn does that too. They're like, see who viewed your profile and upgrade to premium. And I'm always like, what do I need a list of creepers for?
Right?
Okay, I'm good. I already got my private list somewhere now. I got to worry about these other guys. No, I'm good.
It's weird, right? I'm like, I don't know. It's weird.
So to Bree's question, can you go in a room as anon if someone has you blocked? No. If I am the moderator and I have an account blocked, they can't switch to anon and enter. However, if they've always been anonymous, then I wouldn't know. And then I wouldn't be able to block them, and so they'd be able to do it. So I would have had to have blocked them prior. So it's a little nuance there. How much money do you think they raised by charging people $5 to have the little plus sign and use the anonymous feature? Think they made a lot of money?
Considering there's 25 people in here and I can count 2 people who with the plus sign, I'm going to go no.
I'm just really terrible at canceling subscriptions, y'all.
Yeah, because my thing is the features aren't worth the subscription price.
Oh, no. Not at all.
Yeah.
The fact that they put, you can see who viewed you as one of the bells and whistles,
Really?
Well, yeah, and like I said, it's not. It's honestly not if somebody reacts to you, they show up in that list. If somebody invites you on stage, they show up in that list. Like, there's so many times that we interact with each other's PTRs, like if somebody's trying to show a picture and they're like, oh, view my PT, those aren't really people like looking at your profile.
The reason why they don't know how to roll out features that we want, the poll feature is good, but all they did was copy that from Chatter. The reason they don't know like what we want is because they created the app and they no longer come on it. Once upon a time, Paul used to pop into the rooms. In fact, when we were doing healthy debates, I would say Paul would come every day to the room, every day, and he would sit there sometimes for 10 minutes, sometimes for hours. And he would listen, and he would see what people were doing on the app. I think he lost interest in doing that, and he thinks he's got an idea of what people want. But I used to be part of that little beta house. Catherine, you might remember this. They didn't really want real feedback. All they wanted was people to kiss the brass ring. Anytime somebody provided real feedback, you'd have like all of the suck-ups to like jump in and like, and vote that down. It was very interesting.
It was insulting. I mean, honestly, you would ask questions in the chat, they'd be ignored, give feedback. In the beginning, I thought Clubhouse was so cool because I thought, wow, the founders are sitting here talking to us and they have good energy. But then, yeah, they just did those leadership rounds, what they call them, town halls, and there were a lot of complaints in there and they just ignored it. So like, why even have it? Or just say like, we get it, we're working on things. We just can't do whatever you're asking for yet.
So the founders were fucking up, but when they decided like they wanted a feedback loop and they created the beta house, the beta tester house, this was like, okay, we're going to get people with real insights. And I got invited in, and then the person that invited me in, that person got skewered. Like, why would you let Roger into this group? This is crazy. And it was a small group of people, and they were all in it for self-serving reasons. They all wanted, like, you had guys like Nozzle, and you guys might like Nozzle, might dislike Nozzle. But Nozzle, all he cared about, it was he wanted to get a job at one of these companies, or he wanted to figure out how to monetize. And so his whole thing was like, we should monetize houses. We should monetize houses. And I'm thinking to myself, why does that feature matter to him? It's not like, I mean, he could open a room and only 3 people would show up. He would have never been over at Chatter, where I think he belongs.
Yeah, I agree. And I will say the monetization feature of Chatter is something I think Clubhouse could have added pretty easily. I think it's a little disruptive the way they do it now on Chatter. They call it like a rocket thing. When somebody likes or wants to give energy to the room, they call it a rocket chat. So it could be $1, $50, whatever. And you can see who's contributing, and the person who's hosting the room apparently gets paid, but the payout is like 40 days later, and you have to do a Stripe account. And apparently Nozzle lives in some country where his Stripe account didn't work, and so they had to do it differently. But I don't know. I didn't tie anything to money or put any rocket chats in because I'm like, I don't really trust the app for.
I would recommend this. Yeah. When it comes to social audio apps, whether it's Clubhouse, whether it's Fanbase, whether it's Chatter, I've learned the hard way with some of these things. I would never connect a financial app that you have to them. You don't want to reveal any information that you don't have to them, because it's not that you can't trust all of them. I actually think that there's probably some really good people that are involved in this. But there's also an attraction to some of the biggest scam artists on the planet. I mean, if you think about Chatter, if you think about some of the people that are over there now, they're quite literally like con men. Like people like Grant Cardone. He's a con man. He's a fraud. I know that he sued John Legere for saying it, but he's not going to sue me because Mojo doesn't actually exist.
I think that's what many of us like to be on Clubhouse, to hear the cons. And like, I was just starting my private practice. I didn't know anything about business. And I really enjoyed hearing how real estate people talk and people into marketing and selling stuff, especially like kind of the cult type movements and the grifters. You're like, well, it's very fear-based narratives. But they're very gifted in how they tell their stories, and they get people to come along and make them feel vulnerable if they're not buying what they're selling. So I thought I learned a lot.
I think what's fascinating,
Grant Cardone lawsuit.
What's fascinating?
Somebody came up and deposed me to be in that lawsuit. Can you believe that?
Jesus Christ. What's fascinating about those real estate rooms is a lot of the people that were involved in that are not selling a lot of real estate. They're trying to do like funds and trying to convince people to invest, and then they do it in a way where they don't even want accredited investors. Like, they're all setting themselves up for major lawsuits. But I think the thing that's sad is that the people that go into those rooms, they have no clue that these people are con men. They actually think that, like, oh, they dropped some wisdom. We're building community. I'm gonna make it rich with these people. Look, if they were so goddamn good in the real estate market, they wouldn't be spending their time on Clubhouse telling people to fucking give them their nickels and dimes. They'd be out there selling fucking property.
Agreed. Definitely. And the mortgage syndicate, I was always curious, like, what is the deal? And then I learned, okay, they're basically selling very high-priced interest loans, right? Selling money, and how you sell money to people at like higher rates than the worst credit card. Is that the scam? Things like that. I don't know. It's interesting. But I'll tell you, because I'll always say, well, send me the papers, the documents, so I can have my finance people look at it. And they've got nothing to send. I said, well, what's your tax ID number for your company? You know, like if my company were to support your company, how would that be filed? Or if you're a charity, you know, like what's your tax ID number for the charity? So when you know what questions to ask, it breaks down very easily. But we've seen a lot of people get.
I'm so glad you mentioned this. So glad you mentioned this about nonprofits. So I was in this room, Politically Correct, I think it's called, and there was this woman by the name of Sin. I'll call her out by name, and she was talking about all these things that she does in her community, and I could just sniff out the bullshit, and then like, so I went on stage, I said some things, and like, yeah, I don't know, set the room on fire, but she would say, you don't know me, you don't know what I do, and she was telling me about this nonprofit, and then I go, oh, okay, why don't you put the link in the chat to your nonprofit, and I'll donate $500 right now. Now, as somebody that's raised money for nonprofits and for other causes, if somebody is going to, say that they're going to donate, even if they're not going to donate, you still would put the link out there. She couldn't provide the link because it didn't exist, and then when I called that out, I got removed from the room. So you got to be careful. These people are fucking frauds. If they tell you that they're doing this fucking great project, just ask for more information. If you were to ask, I would imagine if you could just have 3 good questions. Can you show me, and not just like a link to a GoFundMe, and not just here's my Cash App, but look for some sort of documentation, some sort of filing that they've done where they've really put their information out there and they show that they're legitimately doing things in the real world. Even then, I wouldn't give money to people on Clubhouse. As a general rule of thumb, if you guys were to do something and ask for money, I would just be completely out. Just on general principle, I will not give money to people on Clubhouse. That being said, if you're inclined to do that, I would just ask a few fucking simple questions. And what you'll find out is that I would guess 5-9 probability that that everybody that's ever asked for money on this app was not doing with the money what they claimed they were going to do with the money.
And John Legere really tried to, I think, protect the people. And that lawsuit, it's a shame because he stopped coming to the rooms, and he, I thought, added a lot. I thought that was what was really fun about Clubhouse a long time ago. You really have a great diversity of rooms and people calling out each other's bullshit. And you see too, if I call out someone for being controlling or something, we get kicked out of rooms. I played that clip, Bing losing it, and you're just like, wow, there it is. If you're not authentic and someone's calling it out, you're going to defend yourself, and that's something to think about. Is if you're authentic, why would you have to defend yourself? You're just honest. And
Is there a way that I could get a copy of that clip? I would like to.
Nelson has it.
You know what? I already know, because this room's been streaming. I could just go back to the live stream and I could clip the moment in which it was said. So I got it. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Honestly, it's so uncomfortable for me to hear it. If anybody's been, abused verbally or had trauma, it might be like trigger warning for that. He just really sounded.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the other direction with it. What I'm gonna do is take things like that, string them all together, and maybe use that as like bumper music as an intro for these rooms. So like as people are piling in the beginning, just play like maybe a 90-second clip of people crashing out on Clubhouse, and I think that's a perfect example of somebody crashing out on an app.
Bumper music, I like that. Okay, bump along. You call it bumper music because it's like an intro or a closing. It's like the bumpers to the.
That's what they refer to it when it comes to like AM radio, the talk radio stuff. There's like the intro music, and then there's the music you play to a commercial, and then there's the outro at the end, and it's referred to bumpers because it's bumpered on the sides of the commercials as well as the content.
A collection of crash outs would be actually quite epic.
That should be, John Kitover, if you're listening, that should be the next YouTube channel. It should just be called Clubhouse Crash Outs, and it can be an edited version where we need to find an audio video editor, somebody that's willing to use some AI, go find some great crash outs, curate the content, and put it together on one channel called Clubhouse Crash Outs. I think that could be a very popular thing. And then we could
probably tell Nigel to do it and just send him a cash app for like $50. I bet he'd do it.
Yeah, but on general principle, I don't want to pay that guy anything. We gotta find a good nozzle. Go ahead.
I don't consent to being recorded. Thanks.
I don't know. I don't think that those words mean what you think they mean.
Dripping with sarcasm. We signed off those rights when we checked off that little TNC box to download this app or pretty much any app these days.
And even if you don't check off the box.
Exactly, serendipity, right? They're happy to do that. They're happy to do that for you. They're very thoughtful.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just love some of the people that are, bitching and complaining about people like John Kitover, but they didn't give a shit when Snowden released all the information about what the federal government was doing, and they're like, "Oh, that's different. It's the government."
Well, I don't want to get in an argument with you about this, but if Snowden had any integrity, he wouldn't be living in Russia.
Well, I don't know. I think they've made it explicitly clear that they're going to lock him away in a box for the rest of his life, and he'll probably end up dead. So, I can't blame him.
Well, no, I can blame him, because if what you really care about is exposing tyrannical government, you don't live in Russia. Sorry.
No, I get that, but who else is going to take him? Who else is going to take him and not, 5 minutes later let the fucking feds come in or Interpol come in and be like, "Oh, sorry, yeah, we lied." I mean, kind of.
So it's not really in opposition to tyrannical government. It's more about that he wanted his names and lights, and now that there's consequences for that, he's willing to go to the most tyrannical government on planet Earth, minus North Korea, and then just live there. I mean, the guy has zero integrity.
Would you think that? I was seeing if you were trolling or not, or if you're being genuine.
No, I'm being dead serious. I actually think that him living in Russia might be the punishment that he deserves.
Yeah, but like I said, which country do you think would not let Interpol come in and take him and remove him extradite him back to the United States?
I think he should, if he believed in what he was doing was right, he should face a jury of his peers, and he should expose it. And then if he goes down in an unfair way, then that's called martyrdom. But he should not be calling out tyrannical government and then living in Russia. It's hypocritical, and the people that support Snowden, to me, are a joke.
Yeah, but I mean, you can stand for integrity and people not being spied on, and not also at the same time want to be tortured by the fucking federal government. You know, to have
but let's not forget that
have CIA fucking wet work black ops guys come in and fucking rip your fingernails off all night.
He was working for Booz Allen for a long time, but he knew what the government was doing. He was doing the government on tracks. So. And remember, this guy was in Hawaii when he was working for the NSA. If you talk to that vintage of NSA people, which was a lot of military folks that had maybe done 6 to 8 years, not all were doing cyber or security related. Some were combat veterans that joined the NSA. But this guy was like all alone on an island in Hawaii, completely detached from the broader NSA operation in Washington or whatever, Virginia. But the point is that he had already worked for Booz Allen for like, I don't even know, like 10 years or some shit.
Okay,
so
Chris, do you think it's better or worse that we know what we know now?
It's way worse. Once the public understood how mass data collection was being weaponized by governments. What did governments do? They increased their mass data collection capabilities. They came up with more advanced forms of signals intelligence. Like, look at all the innovation in signals intelligence. It's pretty shocking. But just spying on Americans and then telling everyone about it definitely did not make it better. Even the big, beautiful bill has expanded funding for mass surveillance, right? We're using that to target immigrants. But also, again, our government targets everyday American citizens regularly. It used to just be the FBI, but now it's the FBI, the Department of Homeland Security, and also the NSA. And they continue to gather more and more and more data. And now we're breaching this precedent where not only does the federal government have this central pool of data on almost every American citizen that does anything on the internet, but now they're breaking these previous boundaries between federal, state, and local. So fuck Edward Snowden, that pussy-ass bitch.
Christopher, it's good to see you on here. Quick question for you. Do you feel the same way about Julian Assange?
No.
Good. Because I feel completely different about those two situations.
I do too. And I've also talked to a lot of Assange's family. See, look, Assange intermediated the flow of the information that allowed us to audit our government. Okay? Edward Snowden got paid by the NSA and Booz Allen for fucking years and then didn't leave us with any instructions on how to deal with the signals intelligence. And then again, what? We got fucking obliterated by every fucking government on this goddamn planet. All these governments doing mass goddamn data collection on their fucking citizens. This bitch takes fucking Russian citizenship. I completely agree with you on martyrdom, because the least he could have done is tapped into
the streets, and there's a lot of people that probably would have been down to run some maximum pressure on this pussy-ass government as in Washington, D.C. last week. Fuck this federal government. And fuck these goddamn mass data collection policies and the consolidation from the federal, state, and local, these pussy-ass bitches. And I hope that these motherfuckers start to create a fucking file on me because, to be honest with you, Snowden didn't even give us fucking policy proclamations, those pussy writes books. He writes these fucking books from Russia. No fucking goddamn policy, no institutional structures to combat the heinous nature of this goddamn government. And I'm sitting here in Chicago and he's fucking in the capital of Russia, probably selling us out to fucking Russia too. So yeah. Fuck Edward Snowden.
Yeah, of course he is. And yeah, I'm glad to see you're one of the few people that see it this way. Some people are like, oh, they're both traitors. Other people will say they're both heroes. And I just see them completely different. I think Snowden's a traitor. I think he had an opportunity to be a hero, but we found out that he wasn't as pure in his intentions. His actions tell us everything. But with Assange, the one thing I would have wished that he would have done differently, if there's one thing, and probably if he could go back in time, he would do differently as well, is redacting some of the names from the cables. I think that the information released, I think was valuable and important, but I think redacting the names would have been a wise idea to protect him and the people mentioned in it.
Yeah, that's fair. And again, Assange allowed us to audit government behavior, so then we were able to become aware about the war crimes in Afghanistan. He also showed us the fuckerest way that our public officials communicate over email, like almost like even extremely unprofessional behavior, acting like they're playing a fucking video game with our goddamn tax dollars. But again, all Snowden had to do, honestly, even if he didn't want to get his nails pulled out by the federal government, which he should have thought about that when he was in Hawaii doing a fucking contract for the NSA. He didn't have to work for the NSA. He didn't have to hack for Booz Allen either. Who knows how many government contracts he worked on by the time that he decided to jump ship. I mean, fuck, like, he probably did contracts for weapon systems manufacturers, so I just don't think he's a great person. I think he's an egomaniac. But he could have at least given us some knowledge on what to do next if he's the savior, and that's why I just don't think he is a well-rounded individual. I think, like a lot of hackers, he was a megalomaniac, and once he realized how significant the signals intelligence capabilities were in the United States, he maybe just wanted to make like his egotistical point. But I know he lives a good life. I know he's making good money and off the American public. So
would you hire him?
Fuck no, I wouldn't be anywhere near that, man. I would never want to be associated with that pussy ass bitch, because if I'm gonna go to work with my government, I'm sure as fuck not leaving this goddamn country, and I'm definitely not gonna go to Russia. Fuck that.
Yeah, I wouldn't hire the guy to push the fucking mop at the peep show.
Isn't his, status though totally blown out of proportion in terms of being like a hero or a traitor? I mean, doesn't he get way too much credit?
It's definitely not blown out of proportion in that he sold the federal government out with his top secret clearance and all the access that he had to the signals intelligence platform at the NSA.
I know, but
it's a huge deal.
What are the three major revelations though that he shared with the world?
Americans didn't understand that signals intelligence had moved from wiretapping, which was actually putting a device on a copper wire. So you had to know which wire was transporting the communication. Then you had to actually physically go to the site, the tap, whatever the box was that had the copper wire, and you had to put a piece of hardware on it. So couldn't do mass surveillance on copper wire because, I mean, it's technically...
Christopher, all this copper wire talk has me a little confused. Can I ask you a question? What is 565 times 1,000?
565,000. But anyways, is once we move from the copper wire to digital platforms and digital devices, that's what people didn't understand. So he showed people for the first time that you could do mass data collection, that the government could do mass data collection that went way past what you could do on a wiretap on a copper wire. So that was certainly a revelation back in 2009.
But while John just distracted you with that math question, meth heads just came and stole your copper wire. Sorry.
Well, nobody's running copper wire anymore. All the telcos retired it. Anyways, you feel me?
So what's the second revelation of Edward Snowden?
That a lot of people didn't know that the NSA existed. Like, the public didn't really know what the NSA was doing. They didn't know we had like a mass data collection focused branch of government, right? Because everybody saw the Patriot Act. Very few Americans know today that Homeland Security was created in 2002. That we didn't have.
The biggest consequence of Christopher is that everyone just thought of these agencies as relatively benign and that we were somehow excluded from surveillance. And, I don't think the long term, and I agree with the consensus on Snowden's character, but